All right. So I am really excited to welcome Benji and Joel Madden. They're the co-founders of multi-platinum rock band Good Charlotte, which formed over 20 years ago, and they've played arenas all over the world. They are also the co-founders of management company MDDN and VIP ticketing platform Veeps. And they're also the subject of this week's cover at Pollstar this week. And what they've done with Veeps during the pandemic has been amazing. They've been able to evolve and become one of the premier ticketing platforms, which is exciting because it's artist friendly and artists have been able to pay like their entire crews, and they've made millions of dollars in revenue for artists with their live stream shows with their platform, but there's no commission. And so artists get to keep 100% of the ticket price. So I want to start out, if you could give us just anything you'd like to share about what inspired you to start MGDN and Veeps, and just how important is VIP for up and coming artists and touring bands?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you for having us. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Pollstar.
We're happy to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you for having us on. So I think where we started it with MDDN was we started the company about 7 years ago with the kind of goal and mission to organize around an idea and a company that we looked at as a music company for artists, by artists, that we tried to and I think it's been a developmental process. I think we you can't get it perfect, but you can, we're very process driven, and we try to hopefully build a place that has resources for artists to
Build their businesses,
and hopefully we can share our experiences, artists coming up in our careers, and then spend our time doing something that we really felt was meaningful and that we were excited about, working with artists we were fans of, and helping artists develop their businesses the way hopefully that they envision,
and for longevity.
Yeah, and for like a sustainable long career that builds over time. And hopefully at MDDN, if we have a building full of resources that can help them on their way, they can depend on third parties less, right? That's the goal, is to be more independent and to be able to have your own leverage, and to be able to have the control of being able to make your art, and so that's the company we've been working on. Benj runs that company. I've kind of sat in a place in that company with development and creative. And then Veeps was born out of MDDN. The MDDN as a building is full of really great people, really great team members.
I think most of what we do, though, is we do it being resourceful to solve problems.
Yeah.
And so Joel only stepped away from MDDN when it was time to really take Veeps, to the world, and it was really started to solve problems. We had challenges around certain aspects of developing artists where every bit of resource that comes in for developing artists, they need every ounce of it, and so we built Veeps to solve a problem. We built Veeps for something that we genuinely just wanted to be able to use to help the artists that we had relationships with build their businesses, and that's how it was born.
Yeah, and then Veeps as a developing platform and a developing product has been something that we've just continued to try and improve over the last few years. And to your last question of how important is VIP for developing artists, I think that if you look at if we call VIP business, it's really just direct to the most engaged, like most supportive, most like vicious fans. It's about connecting with them directly and letting them support your business without anyone in between. And that was
and giving them sort of what they deserve, right? Giving them special experiences, giving them the thing that I think as all of us as huge fans of certain artists kind of crave,
Yeah, so it's very important because there's moments in bands' careers where that extra little bit of support, of revenue, of money into their business on that tour was the difference between literally a hotel room some nights or the tour just being that much more achievable. So they get through that tour and they get to another tour, because we've seen after X many tours of bands not making money or being in debt, actually bands go into debt, touring and promoting. A lot of bands don't make it. A lot of bands break up. A lot of bands question, is this work? Will we ever make it? Will we ever get to the point where we can actually survive doing this? And so that was like a key idea around trying to connect those artists with their fans earlier so they could have that conversation with their fans. And the fans are super engaged in wanting those bands to be able to tour and do things. So,
and I think a lot of artists feel, and feel the same way, is just like our really, really diehard fans are the ones who helped us build our career.
Yeah.
And I think most all artists feel that way. And you want to find ways, you don't want people between you and them. You know, you want to find ways to be as engaged as you can with those people that are helping you sustain your career and have helped you build your career.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like such a win-win, because it's like then the artists get to continue their careers and, you know, maybe have a place to sleep at night. And also then the fans get this connection with these artists that they love. So yeah, I love what you said about, you know, cutting out the middleman. Then it kind of empowers the artists to take control of their own careers. So that's fantastic. So yeah, and with your management company, like you come at this from a very special perspective as an artist yourself. And so you can really advise artists on what you've gone through, lessons you've learned on the road and stuff like that. And, you know, or working with your own managers or agents, like during when you were coming up. So it's kind of a broad question, but is there like any lessons you wanted to share, like the biggest lessons you learned when you guys were coming up with Good Charlotte early on?
There's so many lessons. I think we learned so much, and we were really young when we started.
Probably not enough time on this
Yeah.
this chat to tell you everything, but
yeah,
I think you really have to never give up the ownership of yourself, the belief that you have in yourself. Don't let anyone, whatever value someone else puts on that, you don't have to adopt that value. You don't lose your own value for what you do, how special you are, what you're worth.
I think identifying your own idea of what success means to you is really important, so that you can't apply just general metrics to success. It's really hard when, you know, when we look at charts, they are one way, and they are definitely great metrics we love. Like when we do well and everyone celebrates, it's really important. But next to that is also other goals, other ideas of what you can measure success as. And then, trying to create your own process and your own pace. So if you can sustain a process at a pace that you can sustain, you can have your version of success. And you can also be laser focused on who you are and what you do. And so when something doesn't fall in line with that, it's easier to say yes and no to things, which I do think that sometimes as an artist, I found I was a lot of times confused on what should I be saying yes and no to. I didn't want to seem ungrateful. I didn't want to miss opportunity, and I wasn't sure. And I think one thing I learned is really actually being laser focused on your own goals, your own idea of what success means to you, and your own values. I think you can kind of it becomes easier to be like moving forward at the same pace over time. And then I think you gain some momentum in that.
Yeah, I think that's such a good lesson, like whether you're an artist or whatever industry you're in, to really like know yourself and then be able to focus on your goals. And yeah, I love that.
And I always like,
and I'm not saying we did a great job of it.
I mean, we learned the hard way, and a lot of times, like we're trying to tell people sometimes what we wish someone maybe older would have told us when we were kids. But like, value yourself. Always and be more yourself, not less yourself, regardless of what the industry's saying or what anyone's saying. You know, you got to be yourself, and you got to value that, and it's tough sometimes to back yourself, but you got to back yourself.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless of the industry you're in.
Yeah, totally. And so as we kind of went over, like when we were doing the interview before for the cover story, we talked about when the pandemic hit, Veeps already had kind of the back end set up to be able to transition over to live streaming. So it wasn't necessarily like a pivot like so many companies have done, but kind of like you described as an evolution. And I know that you kind of got right into live streaming like soon after concerts had to be shut down and in-person events were prohibited. And so I wanted to bring in like an audience question about someone had asked, who was the first artist Veeps worked with and what did you learn from that experience? So either if you wanted to answer that like prior to the pandemic, I guess just working with them on a VIP ticketing, or if you wanted to share about like one of the first live streams that you put on like after the pandemic hit.
Yeah, great question. So the first band we worked with on Veeps was Good Charlotte, because we went out on the road and we did a VIP. And the thing I learned was, or in those early days, the product wasn't perfect by any means, but it worked really, it worked well. And I had personally a better time doing VIP when it was an experience we designed. It was a price point we thought our fans would think was fair. It was an experience we enjoyed doing.
We felt like we had to test it. We felt like we didn't want to put that on anyone else. Like we had to be the guys to take the fall as well if anything were to go wrong. And like Joel said, I agree. I think it just made us feel closer to the fans, because you could see you just got a different experience of seeing like what usually there's someone in the middle and they don't quite give you all the information, or they don't quite, and I think when
connections get mixed.
Yeah, so that connection was super strong, and the mutual appreciation, the appreciation that we had for them supporting us in that way, and the appreciation that they had for us sort of taking our time, it was just a lovely,
it was really nice. And it was actually like truer to the experience of a developing band, because we were doing these short tours. So they weren't actually economically smart for us to do, but we wanted to go out and support these records. And actually the VIP was part of the support of being able to have us out there.
actually being able to go out
being
there.
able to do it. And so we were actually like thanking the fans when we were meeting them, and it was a nice experience.
And we took a lot of production, and so you could kind of see that like the hardcore fans actually were a big part of how we could give that show
to all the rest of the
fans. And you start to see sort of like what those fans just mean on, and not just from like oh, that's so nice and sweet, but actually their support is they power businesses. And when you sort of start to teach younger bands, you have this like human sort of like experience of like, wow, I'm really grateful for you, like beyond just you clapping for me and telling me that the song means something to you. You're actually, so one of the first bands we worked with too was Water Parks. They have such an amazing fan base, super diehard, super engaged, and we got to sort of see a band that was maybe us 20 years ago, and actually go through that experience with them and tell them what it meant. Because I don't think anyone organizes it for you, because there's not really a book on like, okay, so here's how it's going to be when you go out on the road and this thing starts to happen. This, like, to see what an amazing experience it was for them, but then also be able to talk them through it and help them organize what it means, and that just to see the relationship they have with their fans, incredible. And that's a great experience to be able to have on both of those.
Yeah. And then the first artist that streamed on Veeps was an artist named Lissy, which was exciting. I mean, we had just the proof that, you know, an artist could go on and do a special performance for their fans. It was electric for me. I was very excited.
She's awesome.
She's a great artist, and we've and everyone at Veeps loves her, because we always think like our first real stream.
And we've all become friends, and she's super supportive. She just did another one last week. And she's great. That was a great experience.
Yeah, Lissy's awesome. I remember, I think we featured her on the cover a number of years ago when she was first coming up. And yeah, in her second or most recent live stream, that was in collaboration or to benefit a venue, right, that she wanted to support. So yeah, I thought that was really neat. So it's kind of like helping the artists, but then she's giving back to some of these buildings who are struggling right now.
Yeah, it was a great show.
And that's another actual kind of category on the platform now is venues. So we have a bunch of really great venues that are working with artists to put on great shows, and everyone kind of wins. And the fans, I think, are looking at these like some iconic venues and some venues we all love, that they're actually they're really excited to support them as well as the artists that they're a fan of.
The venues are open, and there's an economy there again in that venue, and it's been amazing. I mean, the venues have been amazing to work with.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so speaking of, because I know like with the live streams, like so many different artists have done live streams on your platform so far, like Brandy Carlisle, Liam Payne, like Dirty Heads, like so many. And I know along with like musicians, other people like magicians or maybe other people can put on shows too and sell tickets. So it's really like anyone from the creative field. But I know that you guys like walk through the process with the artist, right, to plan out how the live stream is going to go. And are there any like tips you have for musicians about like the best ways to connect with their fans when you're doing a live stream performance?
Absolutely. I think that number one, the most important thing around the experience is that I feel it has to be special. So we encourage everyone to think of,
And authentic too.
Yeah, it's got to be authentic to the artist and what they're doing. So it's really got to come from them. But I think it's like imagining something special that your fans wouldn't usually be able to see. A lot of people are doing certain records their fans love from start to finish. Pete Yorn did a really cool one. A lot of great, like Brandy's done some great, she's doing the album series of all these albums. That's really cool to see because you see fans of different records and people engaging in different ways. That to me is number one, is concept of like, what are you, again, like we go back to, we're a VIP direct to fan experience place. So we encourage that feeling of special over anything else. And then that kind of takes care of the rest. When you have a really great idea as an artist of what you want to give your fans, you'll usually see you're not wrong. The fans will enjoy it, and they do. And then the story writes itself from, we have a really great, so the team at Veeps, again, it's not me and Ben sitting in a room running this thing.
We're just a creative guys, you know, like we have some really smart people that we've been lucky enough to meet along the way.
We have an incredible team of people who know what they're doing, and they love artists, and we get to have a lot of fun talking to artists, getting creative. We jump on a lot of calls around like what we'd be excited to see as well as fans, because we get to work with so many
creators. And one of the funnest things about this for me has been the music discovery. Like I have so many artists I'm a fan of now just from seeing them on Veeps.
Absolutely. So, but it really is all about the team at Veeps. They help you find the production solutions. They help you set up, and then the marketing support's like the biggest. So we have a really incredible marketing director and team who work with the artists and try to put together a marketing plan that's authentic as well, because some artists want to do press, they want to promote, some artists don't. They work around, and then some people have bigger teams, some people have smaller teams, some people are doing it themselves. So they tailor it around each different business, and then try to promote it in a way that feels special, but also that reflects each artist's different business. And so that's a big part of reaching people around the show. And it's not just through your socials, it's through a bunch of other things. And then during the stream, I think it's just putting on a great experience. It's funny, like there's not as much as I think people assume you have to interact more or less. I mean, there's every artist is different.
Just
some
be
people
real.
Yeah, some people interact more, some people don't interact, but it's really kind of just true to who they are. And you know, some artists are more shy, some artists are, everyone's different. I think when it's authentic, the fans just really enjoy it, and we see the feedback is always great when people just show up and do what they do.
And the cool thing is that even if there's 30,000 people watching globally, it feels like a VIP experience.
Yeah.
It feels like something that you're getting that you haven't experienced before. I love that aspect of it, and yeah, it's it's really fun just to watch how different each one is, and what that, you know, we just encourage every artist to just express themselves and put on the thing that feels organic to them is what everyone's is gonna be the best experience for everyone.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Like rather than trying to be like, okay, I need to be like this, or it's like just be authentic and it's like you guys say, like let the art lead. So
Yeah, and I think anyone who's never been on stage might try to encourage you to follow what someone else did. But anyone who's been on stage knows how uncomfortable it is not to be yourself, and
right.
to have to try and feel like you have to do something someone else already did, or
Yeah.
live up to something. So I think we've been on that stage before, and so we always know the best experiences we had was when we could just do what we wanted to do and just be ourselves, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. And another audience question, someone wanted to know, like, when working with new artists, so you have like a number of management companies or management clients rather, what changes have you seen within the industry that were different when Good Charlotte was coming up? I mean, obviously right now we have this global pandemic, so that's a little different, but anything else?
On the management front, there's some things that never change.
That's a great question though, because I think the core of your business, it just has to be people who care, and artists who believe in themselves and care about their art. Obviously now we live in a world that is more, I think we continue to evolve into more of an independently minded artist. And I think there's going to be two sides of the business, which are healthy. I think it's good for everyone. And I think the more and more like the companies, obviously all the companies like TuneCore and all these other companies out there that give artists the tools. Veeps is another one we like for ticketing. But there's a bunch of great companies out there that are really just tools for artists to be more independent, and we love that.
Be entrepreneurial.
Be entrepreneurial, be independent, but also have the reach to get to fans. That's more of a thing now than it was when we started. There were less tools. Obviously, it was early days. The social media aspect is a big change now too. So there's the digital side of the business is just night and day completely. It's a new era. We were there before this changeover into streaming, and when that changeover was happening around 2010, 11, 12, 13, it was kind of like,
I remember the changeover from CDs to sort of like when like Napster was around,
all
like
that.
MP3s.
So going through all those was interesting. It was an interesting ride, because many times people were like, it's dead, go just give up. But seeing it evolve into what it is now, there's more tools than ever, and there's more, the playing field continues to get level. But there is a way for all sides of the business to work together, and there's certainly a way for the big companies to support the right artists, and the right artists who are independent. There's a way, I do believe, that it continues to balance out in what artists have to work with. So that's probably the most overt change. But the timeless stuff of artists being artists and having
and a good song, a great song still,
and a great team. It's always about a great team that's working with you, that cares, is so important. And there's so many great smaller labels, management companies, agencies. So there's definitely room for everyone.
And I'll say this as a manager, which is one of the greatest, just this something I take so much pride in now, and one of the greatest things I've ever done with my life. Every artist that I've ever known that's been successful was gonna go and make it no matter who was by their side. They were determined, they were relentless, and they had no other option. They had to go forward, and they had to sing, they had to write songs, they had to put themselves out there. Every artist that I've ever known that's had success, they were going to do it no matter who was. You couldn't stop them. And that still holds true today, is that to have great success, you have to have that kind of determination and that kind of that kind of spirit and work ethic. And I
think that's with any dream, whether it's being an artist or an athlete.
And it doesn't mean a great team doesn't make a difference. It's all different versions, right? Like, what is your career going to look like? What's it going to feel like to live inside of? But that's something that still holds true to me, in my opinion, today. And it's something that I get to see all the time with new artists, when you see that fire in someone's eyes and you see that determination, you go, hey, that artist they're going to make it no matter what.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that seems inspiring, especially to work with artists like that who have that drive. So,
Sure.
You
yeah.
set your limits. You set your own limits.
Yeah, totally. So speaking of like artists who've like been around, had that drive and, you know, found their own path forward and kept going, you guys are about to celebrate the 20th anniversary of your first album. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And anything you can hint at that you have in the works, like a little celebration or anything? And also, maybe a related question, we have an audience question wondering if Good Charlotte is going to do another live stream anytime soon.
So those may be related questions, but we can't announce it yet. But we are going to have some sort of celebration, just because, you know, 20 years, you know, from the first album coming out is a milestone. And more, you know, I mean, we're so close as a band. I mean, I think to be honest, I think we're closer than we've ever been, now that we're all, you know, all of us are just like at living our sort of family lives. Like, we all have kids, we all have this, we're all kind of going through the same thing in life. And it's great to go from being in high school together, our oldest friends. I mean, well, all of us are each other's oldest friends. So we want to celebrate just because we love that milestone, just of us being together. We genuinely do love one another just so much, you know. So yes, we will hope to announce something soon, but really genuinely, one of the biggest reasons is, like, we feel like there's a lot of people that are still with us that have really been there from the first or second record, and like, that means a lot to us, you know. Especially, I think the older you get, things mean different things to you at different times, and that really means a lot to us. And having the experiences we have now with the younger artists that we get to work with, and across all the things we're doing in the industry, it gives you a whole other sense of appreciation that you might not have had the perspective to have that you did before. Even though we appreciated everyone, it was from a different point of view. And so we definitely feel the need to celebrate all the people that, you know, started out with us back then, and that have joined up along the way, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on that note, I know you have fans around the globe listening right now, and like, looks like we have people from Germany, Argentina, and both coasts, because I know you guys started on the East Coast, now you're based in California. So I think that's neat. And that's also, I think, one of the really cool things about live streaming, that, you know, fans can tune in from all over the world. And I know, talking to your team, like when planning when to host the live stream performances, you might like take that into consideration. So do you see like live streaming going forward, like even after maybe we find a vaccine or whatever and we can go back to live touring? How do you see live streaming being a part of the industry going forward?
I do see the live streaming, as it's kind of becoming what it is now, staying in a version of, again, like what we say to each artist, it'll mean a different thing, and they'll have their own version of what they consider their live streaming business. Because I do think it's like a whole category in like how you operate as an artist. Of, you have your live touring, you have, you know, your merch is always something you're developing, you have all these different sides of your business as an artist. So live streaming will be a part of that. And I believe it's still centered around VIP. I still think it's like a special offering that should feel like it's one of a kind every time you do something, for whatever that means. It could be answering questions around something that's happening in a certain time. It could be playing songs. For me, it's got to be special, and it's got to kind of feel like it's your personality in that part of your business.
Yeah, and I agree with Joel on that. And I think there's also so many moments as an artist, just so that the fans know, all the fans who are listening, there's so many moments that you have where you go, oh man, I wish the rest of the fan base could see this. Where you're in a city, or where you're
making a record,
or you're doing something, or you're having a moment that you wish that you could share with the entire fan base and make it truly a global moment. I think that it's going to play a role in that as well. Now I feel that, you know,
Giving experiences. It's
Yeah.
experiences that directly with your fans that you want to give them in a way that also helps power. Like there are going to be there's going to be times where bands are like, and this is real. Bands are like, how can we do this? How can we make this record? How can we make this video? Well, what if we did this? What if we got with all of our fans and we gave them something that we won't give anyone else, and that'll actually come in to play, and that's a real thing.
And that's why we started the model we started. I mean, the model that we had, I mean, now we're seeing other people do it, and we love that. We wanted this model to exist. This model is truly powered by the fans.
Yep.
You know,
and the ones who want to participate, they don't all have to participate. And that's the thing. It's an honest exchange of bands like figuring out their lives, and their fans are a part of it. So we love that idea of every different band being able to use Veeps in different ways for different reasons. And sometimes it's just for fans to experience things, and sometimes it's straight survival. And what we've seen in this time is people literally trying to figure out how can they survive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a scary time right now for the industry, like everything that's happening. I mean, obviously for the whole world with the pandemic, and just with our industry with touring being on hold. But I think it's also exciting with what you guys are doing with your company and these just, you know, putting artists first. So I think that that's thrilling to see what will be next with the industry, and just keep uplifting artists and that fan connection, but finding a way for us all to work together. And I can talk to you guys forever. You guys are so great.
We're gonna keep pushing the artists forward. We're gonna keep you know, sort of just trying to create a better world for artists in any way we can. And I think that's why, you know, I think the Veeps brand does feel like it was started by artists. I think that it does feel that way. And we've been lucky enough to get some great tech people to sort of get behind us, but it is artist driven. And we're, you know, we're going to keep doing that as long as we're in the music business. We're going to keep sort of fighting for artists, and sort of trying to bridge the gap between sort of the big,
and I do believe that fans like knowing that if they spend $1 on Veeps, it goes to that dollar they spend goes to the artist that they're spending it on, and there isn't a bunch of people in between justifying a bunch of things. I mean, ultimately, like, we like that model. I mean, certainly there's other perspectives.
We're artists.
Certainly there's other perspectives. We can respect that, but we are not shy about like talking to the fans about that and how they're powering this whole thing, and why we want to continue to double down on everything that Veeps is doing to support artists in marketing, to support artists in production. Everything we can do, we're doing. And so we're just, again, like, we always find ourselves in these conversations as band guys that are just trying to figure out how do we get our band to go forward. It feels like this too with everything we're doing.
You know, the other thing that feels great too is that when you've done something that maybe you didn't maybe give yourself any credit for, or whatever it was, like when you've done thousands and thousands of shows from the time you're 16 years old to now, and you've been a part of putting tours together and budgets and doing all the stuff that makes to get from here to that stage when you get to when you want to give people their money's worth, when you want to give people the show that they'll remember and come back and see you again. And now we're getting to put that into practice, and we're getting to sort of like, you know, execute live streams and have artists
help people make those decisions as well.
Yeah. So that makes you feel like, oh man, you know, that's having that experience is like more valuable than you knew it would be, because you were just out there doing it and sort of fighting for it and working for it. So that's a great feeling that we get to, you know, all of these artists and everyone that's continues to come on Veeps and live stream, they're giving us such an amazing opportunity just to share that experience. And it makes you feel like, that was really, I'm really lucky that I had all that experience. Cause you can, you know, it really comes in handy, you know? So
yeah, we're still, you know, obviously thank you for having us, and thanks for talking, you know, for shining a light on everything we're doing. It's really generous of you. And we're just, yeah, we're glad to still be here, you know, 20 years later from the first album.
Yeah, congratulations on that milestone, and congratulations on all the success of Veeps. And yeah, I'm just so happy to be able to, you know, shine a light on something positive for the industry and artists. So I'm really excited about this and the model you guys have going. So can't wait to see what's next. And thank you again for taking the time today to chat. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. And thanks, Pollstar. And thanks everyone on the team at Veeps. There's amazing, like 22 people there that really love artists and care. We're so lucky to work with such great people. And thank you to all of the artists that have been using Veeps. I mean, that's why we're here talking.
And all the artists and all the team at MDDN, all those artists have had our backs so hard. And all the GC fans too.
Yeah, we're lucky. We have amazing people around us. So we're really blessed to just have so many good people around us. So thank you guys.
Okay. Thanks. Have a great rest of your day, guys.
All right,
Thanks, Sarah.
you too.
Thanks.